Hey, beautifuls. I'm Adelina East, founder of Transformational Healing and multidimensional mentor, and I'm here to work with you today on retraining your brain. We've done so many of these practices together now. If you want to look back at the older ones, last week and the week before were all about retraining your brain for courage. But what we're going to talk about today is this little thing that we like to call the sixth sense. So, when we talk about the sixth sense, we talk about how we just felt something, or we just knew something, or there was some reason why we had to know what was going on around us. The sixth sense can also be thought of as a time when you are absolutely positive about something, but you have no proof outside of yourself that that thing is actually happening or that that thing is real. So, myself as a neuroscientist, I have dealt with this a lot throughout my life. I'm sure you can imagine what other neuroscientists think of what I do. But what I have found through time and through this practice is that it really doesn't matter. I know what I know because it's what I feel and what I have around me and what's taking place all the time surrounding me. And so today I want to talk a little bit about how we can get to that place where we can take something on faith. So there have been a few different studies about this. One of the most recent studies was actually done in 1999, and it was about how people who have faith in something or believe in a power higher than themselves have greater scores on the general happiness index. And so I'm not saying that you should believe in something greater than yourself to have a higher score on the general happiness index, but it certainly does help. And if it is something that you naturally feel is out there, something that is naturally right in front of you, or that you're experiencing really often, this form of faith in something that is larger than yourself can really start to allow your brain chemistry to function differently. Now, what they found in this study was that they tested certain neuromodulators and neurotransmitters for the purpose of trying to find out how much dopamine and serotonin and other kinds of chemicals were running through a person's brain when they thought about their faith or their spirituality. This part of the process actually didn't go all that well, but when they did MRI scans and functional MRI scans of these people's brains, when they were focused on their faith or their thing that was greater than themselves, they found that certain areas of the brain that typically light up when someone is feeling joy were lighting up. And so, regardless of whether we can measure all of the different neurotransmitters and neuromodulators, it's something that science is still working with, of course. Sometimes faith is faster than science. In fact, I've found that to always be the case in my life. But we do know that having faith in something greater than yourself can light up certain areas of your brain that are a part of your general, let's say, joy chemistry, is probably the best way to put it. Secondly, there have been a few different anecdotal things that have happened over the course of time, I'm sure you can imagine, for many people who had no faith and then ended up having faith. I leave this kind of research to you because, again, it is anecdotal. It's not something that is provable, but there have been so many cases of people being in the pits of despair and then discovering their religion, right? Like the REM song. Well, maybe it's not REM. You know what I mean? The song Finding My Religion. Um, People finding their religion, finding their spirituality, finding their universe, source, God, whatever word you want to use, and then feeling pretty great. And I guess one of the things I want to really dive into today is, does it really matter if it's 100% on par with the belief systems that you've had your entire life? Or does it matter that you remain open to change, that you remain open to being proven wrong about certain things, and that you're consistently finding things in life that bring you greater and greater joy, things that bring you more community? One of the other studies that I wanted to look at today was done in the early 2000s, and it's all about how having community can help people live longer. Not that you maybe necessarily want to with climate change and all of the things happening in the world, but this study found that those who have community, specifically faith-based community, so whether it's a specific yoga class you take every week, in fact, they even included yoga in the study, which I thought was very forward-thinking for the times. Whether it's a specific yoga class you go to every week, a church group, a support group, something with some sort of focus on a higher power or a power greater than yourself, those people tended to have longer lives. And of course, this study couldn't take in every possible medical eventuality, but they did the best that they could in order to really differentiate between those who lived longer with a faith-based community component and those who did not. And so those are maybe the two most scientifically backed reasons that I can give you to have some faith, to think that there may be a power greater than yourself. What I can share with you about my life, and many of you have heard this story, is that I was raised with this incredible Native American grandmother. And she taught me how to channel my guides. She taught me how to do many different spiritual things. I lapsed away from that in childhood for a variety of reasons and didn't really pick it back up until I was in my mid 30s. I'd had a lot of religion around me until then, religions that I will not go into today, but that were not helpful. And then in my mid 30s, I picked up again that spiritual foundation, that basis of feeling into my own intuition, communicating with my guides, believing in a power greater than myself or in God or source, whatever term you want to use. And I feel like a lot of what was happening to me at that time led me to that place. I had a full mental and physical thing happening. I had incredibly bad PTSD and OCD from living overseas and doing the kind of work that I did there. And also had environmental illness and multiple chemical sensitivity, things that I'm still working with today. I don't say I'm ever 100% healed because I'm not, and I still have to rove the world looking for a place to live that doesn't make me sick. Um, but a lot of all of that happening to me led me to having time to dive back into my spirituality, and it completely changed my life. I don't know how I would deal with this illness and all of this, quite honestly, without it. So um, I found that diving back into my spirituality, channeling my guides, feeling into my intuition helped me so much just to find the right care, the right mental health professionals and physical health professionals to help me start healing and get better. Even if that's all that does for you, that is still so incredible. However, I believe it does a whole lot more for you. And in our next video, I will take you through a transformational healing process that is founded upon neuroscience and my neuroscience background in order to retrain your brain to have faith. And if you don't have faith and you're not up for having faith, that's okay. This is also a brain retraining process to retrain your brain to have hope for the future, which I think is really lacking in a lot of our governmental systems, let's say. And so let's retrain our brains for hope. I look forward to seeing you back here next week.